friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to wrap up the rest of my reading for the month of December. So in December, I read a ton. Like, I am surprised how much I read. Since my last wrap up, because I wrapped up the first half of the month of December, I had participated in 2 readathons there, Tis the Season-a-thon and Smut-a-thon, and I read a ton in both of those. So I will leave that linked for you guys to check out so that you can see what else I read this month. Since that wrap up, I have completed a series, and I read some more smut because smut makes me happy. And then I read a crap ton of manga. I finished a manga series that had been on my shelf that I'd been wanting to finish. And I finished 2 series. Sorry, I finished 2 and got current on all the other ones that I was currently reading that I had volumes for. So let's go ahead and dig right in. I am going to do the manga in the later portion of this video because there's just so much more of it. So here's your timestamp if you're only here for manga. I hope you'll stick around for the books because there are only 4, so there's not too many, so it shouldn't take too long. Anyways, after that long-winded introduction, let's dig right in. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the most recent one that I finished, and that is not The Duke's Darling by Elizabeth Hoyt. This is a historical romance, smutty romance, in which we have a lady who has kind of, in a sense, lost her title and is kind of hiding out as, like, not a governess, but like a helper to this certain family. And what people don't know is that she's working for a secret women's society in which she rescues women in bad situations and helps women to better their own situations in life. So in the opening scene, we have her taking this nursemaid and child to the mother of the child. And along the way, they find out they're being followed. So she uses her good instincts. She sees this coach that she doesn't recognize the emblem on. She whips it open and hops everybody in. As soon as she gets in, she realizes it's her arch nemesis. One of her older brother's friends from 15 years ago who kind of abandoned him in a time of need. And obviously we don't have the whole story here, but sparks start to fly between the two of them. He doesn't initially recognize her as she is kind of incognito and not dressed as she normally would have been for her station. But because of the incident with her brother in which he felt abandoned. Anyways, I'm trying to make this a more complicated explanation than it needs to be, but it's good. I really enjoyed it. Solid 4 stars. I will definitely be checking out more Elizabeth Hoyt in the future, and this was fantastic. The next one on this list is another historical smutty romance, and that is My One and Only Duke by Grace Burrows. In this, we're following a young lady as she visits a prisoner in prison who happens to be coming into dukedom. And through circumstances, he has ended up in jail, falsely accused of murder. She is widowed and with child, but she has a father who's a preacher who doesn't like that about it, anything at all. So she is trying to take matters into her own hands and kind of stand on her own 2 feet. So this duke, who's on his way to be hung, offers to marry her and set her up financially so that she can take care of herself and her unborn child. And that's where things start. Things escalate from there. This is so good. I thoroughly enjoyed this read. Again, Grace Burrows is another author that I will be checking out more of. I'm really digging historical romance lately. I don't know why, I just am, and I love it, so definitely check out some Grace Burrows. All right, 2 more books. This next one is The Story of Us by Tara Civic. This is a beautiful novel about 2 broken people who heal through getting reacquainted with each other, I guess you could say. So in the past, these 2 were pretty hot and heavy due to circumstances. They are forced away from each other. He joins the military and is a POW for 5 years. So you're dealing with 2 people who have PTSD because the girl was in a car accident in which her leg was all mangled, and these 2, this was a really good, it's one of those gut-wrenching ones, like just ones that you know you're going to cry while you read it. Like, this is that kind of book, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this wrapped up beautifully. And again, Tara Civic is another author I want to check out more from. I really enjoyed the writing in this. I know she's got at least 1 more that sounds along the same lines as this, so I am really looking forward to that as well. And last but not least is a booktube darling, and that is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I finally completed the original Grisha trilogy. Nikolai is still my favorite out of the whole series. I loved the Darkling as well. I thought they were just fantastically written characters. I didn't love the ending of this, but I don't hate the ending of this. I am excited for King of Scars coming out next month. This just made me all the more hyped for it because now I know who Nikolai is better, and I am all about a book about Nikolai. Like, I just need it in my life, so. Alright friends, that is it for the book portion of this video. We are now going to jump into the manga portion. I hope you will stick around for the manga portion because I really love my manga reads for this month. Up first, we have volume 9 of Waiting for Spring. You guys know I'm obsessed with this series. Like, this is one of my favorite currently publishing shoujo series, and I think it's about to end. I think we only have 1 or 2 more volumes left. Like, it is almost over, and I'm like dying inside because this volume was so good, so much good story progression. And the cliffhanger, I'm dying. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But we're 9 volumes into this series, so I can't really tell you too much about what's currently going on unless you've read it. If you've read it, DM me. I need to talk to people. But yes, in this story, we follow Mitsuki, who is a little bit shy and introverted and a little bit socially awkward. We follow her as she starts making friends. The first group of friends she really makes are the 4 gorgeous boys on the basketball team that are not allowed to date due to a team policy. Things escalate from there. She has a childhood friend come back who she always thought was a girl growing up but is actually a boy, and it's all sorts of good, amazing fun. I little girl squeal reading this so much. Not little girl, teenage girl. Like teenage girl seeing a rock star squeal. That's what happens when I read this series. It is so, like, one of my favorite series currently running. If you have not tried Waiting for Spring, shame on you. Go try it. Next up, we have Hatsuharu Volume 4. This is a series in which we're following more of the boys' perspective than the girls' perspective. They do flop back and forth a little bit, but we're primarily in the boys' perspective. The boy is a playboy, has been, always will be, offends our main girl's friend, and she comes and, like, beats him up over it. And because of that, he's very intrigued by her, starts to feel attraction for her, doesn't really want to go be the playboy with anybody else because he wants to focus all of his attention on winning her over. And that's kind of what's going on in this series. You have friends that are trying to help, trying to hinder. It's all there, and it's good. This one, she was kind of mean to my boy, so I'm having a moment. But I am really anxious to continue to see what happens. I mean, what's going on in this volume needs to happen for our main girl to kind of wake up. But I do love this series. It's fun. It's a good shoujo time. Pick it up. Next, I continued on with LDK with Volume 3. This is about 2 high schoolers who are living on their own away from their families to go to school. But due to circumstances, they end up kind of living together. And feelings start to happen, but they're trying to keep everything a secret because it can get them in trouble at school. And yes, that's just kind of what's going on here. I'm really loving it. I think it's great. I'm going to continue collecting it. And yes, it's a good time. Next, I read the next 2 volumes in My Little Monsters. So I read Volume 5 and Volume 6. I do really like what's going on in the story thus far with My Little Monster. There's been a lot of character development in the last 3 volumes, really. And so I am really excited to continue on. I believe there's 13 volumes in this series, so I'm not quite halfway through, but I am still really enjoying it at this point. I think this is one where I'll probably pick up 2 to 3 at a time, so I can just kind of read a chunk of the story and then pick up my next set. I think that's how this one's going to go down, but I really enjoy this. Essentially, this is about a boy who's wickedly smart, but doesn't really come to school. So smart girl who works very hard for her grades is sent to kind of like corral him back to school. He obviously is attracted to her and starts to come to school to get to know her better. It's great. Feelings, teenage, high school, shoujo, happiness. Shoujo is like making me so happy lately. Like, I just can't even really talk about it. It's just there. I love it. It's a fun, good time. Definitely check out My Little Monster if you haven't. I know there's an anime as well, so if you're not a manga reader, check out the anime. Next up, I read the next 2 volumes in Assassination Classroom. In Assassination Classroom, we're following a classroom full of kids who have a huge payout coming to them if they can assassinate their alien teacher by a certain date. So they have all this special training that they do. It's wonderful. There's school politics and everything. Like, it's fantastic. I really enjoy the series. that is the description I gave you is super shallow compared to what the series is. Like, the series is very deep. You get to know these characters. You get to know, like, their mindsets and what's going on. Like, it is a fantastic series. I'm pretty sure I know how this is going to end, and I'm going to bawl by the time I get to the end of this, but I'm still loving it. So definitely check out Assassination Classroom if you haven't. I continued on in my read of To Your Eternity with volumes 4 and 5. I bawled so hard. Oh, those of you who have read it know why I bawled. I was very attached to a particular character, and I can't tell you who because of what's going on. But yes, like, To Your Eternity is so good. It is so beautiful. Not just the story, but the artwork is beautiful. Volume 5 did get a little on the creepy side for me. There was a creepy element to it, and I really just wasn't having it. So I am really interested in picking up volume 6 here soon so that I can keep going with this series, because this series is amazing and giving me life and makes my heart happier than I want to admit. But To Your Eternity is fantastic. Definitely check it out. Alrighty, the next one on this list is volume 3 of Clockwork Planet. Clockwork Planet is a really fun, I don't know what you would classify this kind of a series as. It's from the creators of No Game No Life. Essentially, we're following teenagers who are trying to pull off this heist and save the world, and people are pretending they're dead and stuff. Like, it's really fun. So essentially, there's a teenage boy who can hear what's wrong in their very mechanical world. And he teams up with this girl who is what they call the Meister, who is go and, like, fix things, but she doesn't have that talent where she can easily hear. And then we're dealing with a robot that the boy repaired, and then her bodyguard. So those are essentially our 4 main characters. It's a really fun, good time. I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil it, because I think going in relatively blind was good for me. So definitely check out Clockwork Planet. I really enjoyed it. We are now to my 2 series conclusions that I've read. First up, I finished Ouran High School Host Club. Yes, I read volumes 11 through 18. Most of, I think, 13 through 18 were all read in one day, because I am just that person. And for those of you who have watched the Ouran High School anime, you are missing out on so much good content. Go and read the manga, because in the manga, I feel like the characters are much deeper. Like, there's so much going on with these characters. People start to truly, like, awaken feelings and change and grow, and it's beautiful, and everyone needs to read this. I'm going to do a manga to anime comparison of Ouran High School Host Club coming up soon. So look forward to that, where I will gush about Ouran High School even more than I am right now. But seriously, guys, Ouran High School Host Club is amazing. Like, the anime is super fun, and the series is super fun, but it's amazing. Like, it is so underrated because people just assume it's exactly what's in the anime. It is so much more. It is so much better. Oh my gosh, like, go read it. Go read it now. It will make your heart very happy, because it sure made mine happy. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably saw me fangirl about Ouran High School Host Club as I was reading it. So if you ever want to watch me fangirl about stuff with little vague hints in what's going on in the chapter, like, follow me on Instagram. It's always linked down below. All right, and last but not least on this list, I concluded Neon Genesis Evangelion. So I read volumes 10 through 14 in these 2 weeks. Like, this series, guys, it is so good. It is so emotional. You know, we're dealing with teenagers trying to save the world. It is brilliant. I loved this. You deal with people who are so psychologically broken in this series, and how they think they need to fix themselves, and people who do realize what's wrong and fix themselves, and love and loss, and so much stuff. It's so good, guys. This definitely, I want to add this to my best manga of 2018 reads. So definitely, like, don't discount the series just because it wasn't mentioned in that video. I will put a little comment underneath and pin it saying I'm also adding Neon Genesis Evangelion to this list because I finished it after I'd filmed that video. But it's so good, guys. Definitely check out this series. They do have these great omnibus volumes. There's 5 in total that you'll pick up, and they run like 20-ish bucks. So they're not that expensive. So definitely go and check out Neon Genesis Evangelion. Okay, friends, that is what I ended up reading in the later half of December. December was a crazy reading month for me. I read a ton. But I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. I had a ton of time off work I've had like the 22nd was my last day of work and today's the 31st. So I had like a total of 9 days off to read all of this. And my husband was at work, so I wasn't even distracted by him. So that's why I was able to read so much in the latter half as opposed to normal. So don't expect to see these kinds of wrap-ups all the time, but I really had a fantastic time with all of my reads this year. 2018 was a fabulous reading year. I had a great time. I'm looking forward to my reads in 2019. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it to the end, you're a champ, and I love you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.